Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, October 10th, and I'm Cory here with Olivia and Cory. It's On the Line. Thank you for coming back. We talk everything high school cross country in the fall, and today we're going to get into some big action that took place over the weekend. Clovis Invitational, teams like Coeur d'Alene, Tatnall, Downers Grove North, and more on the country's top freshmen from Florida. We're going to rank the top 4 teams in the Northwest, Heartland, and Midwest, and then we're going to dive into a preview on the Manhattan College Invitational, which is our national meet of the week. It takes place in Van Cortlandt Park in New York City on Saturday. Make sure to check us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a little rating. Give us a little one. Thank you for listening as always. Let's dive into the topics today. We're going to start with Clovis. It was held at Woodward Park over the weekend, state championship course, put all California's top athletes on the line for these championship events. And Olivia, Ventura dominated individually, and the girls, surprising team result too.
I am not surprised individually with Sadie. I'm more impressed by how the team came together. I didn't see this coming, to be quite honest with you. And as you mentioned, this meet specifically is very prestigious. You're getting all the top athletes and teams in the state of California. And so this just allows us to kind of get a glimpse of kind of what to expect as we move closer and closer into that championship season. But goodness, 113 points for second place with an 1809 average for Ventura, but the leader, as always, is Sadie Engelhardt, who took the title in 16:39 for 5K, which is the number 5 performance of the season, and she led the team to a 1:13:28, 39, 58 finishes. And again, their average right now is number 11 in the country. And just kind of looking deeper into this team, you had a sophomore, Aleo Curtis, who was their second runner. She was third at states last year, so it's great to see her kind of, keeping up and really pushing the mark. But I really think the key here was Tiffany Sachs. And she is a transfer from another high school out in California, and she competed for the first time with the Ventura uniform on. So she was their third runner. Finished 28th with an 18-19, and just to kind of give you a perspective, she was the 9th place finisher last year at states for the Division II. So I think Ventura's in a really solid spot right now. So it was just really great to see them get out there.
Yeah, and Sadie kind of coming down with the hammer.
Yes.
Did not race last year out of, she held out due to sickness. Hannah Thompson was the defending champion. Sadie came out here and said, I am taking this title, 16:39, which was a meet record, and that's a brilliant performance from her, kind of getting back to that, wham, bam, gonna smack you in the face kind of running style from Sadie. So great win for her. But this also speaks to the power of a true number 1 for a team like Ventura, because the conversation here isn't necessarily JSerra. We'll get to that. They had a great day too, but it's Ventura beating Buchanan, which is the Division I defending champion. We thought Buchanan was going to come out here, really, punch some people in the face and get after it. Ventura ultimately beat Buchanan in this race. You said, obviously, a fast average, but the spread, 236. In most traditional cases in cross-country racing, you're not going to win a meet on a spread that large.
Yeah.
But as it happened, Ventura's power up front with that 1-2 were in before Buchanan's 1 even came across the line.
Right.
And then it was even at 3, and then the 4 was ahead of Buchanan's 4. So Ventura individually, independently came across the line, and they got it done. Sometimes it can be unorthodox like that, but a victory on a one-on-one level is a victory, and that obviously speaks really, really highly to Ventura, who came away with a really good result here at Sadie with the result. Really like to see what they can offer this year at the state level, because that's a good performance. Let's get to JSerra, because the girls team came here with some high expectations, maybe some pressure, but they did not let any of that get to them, and they came away with a big victory.
I feel like they listened to our episode last week because I specifically said on the show, I was like, if JSerra does exactly what they've been doing up until this point without making any changes, nothing wild, they can be a contender. And what do you know? They come in as the top team with the title, and they did it with 72 points. And they just did a phenomenal job, and their average was an 18:06, puts them right in the top 10 nationally. And what's even scarier is they had a 29-second spread, as we mentioned with Ventura just having that, roughly about 240. Here you have a team that's getting all 5 of them within 30 seconds of one another, and they came up with 8th, 9th, 14th, 18th, and 23rd. I want to briefly touch on Buchanan because I felt like they showed their strengths very early in the race. They were leading with a 65-72 lead. And JSerra just happened to make a very critical move within that second mile, and they were able to continue to propel to those top team standings. But I wouldn't necessarily count out Buchanan. Yes, they did take a couple punches this weekend. However, with their 18:25 average, 35-second split, I feel like they're still a contender. They just had a little setback, probably need to regroup, and they'll come back ready to fight again.
Well, Buchanan's still a toast of the town in D1.
Yes.
JSerra's in D4. They're not going to see each other at the state level. And state acts as that national qualifier at the national level too. So it's different in that aspect, but what also helps here is the 2 transfers that we have talked about entering into the season. The CIF mandated period October 4th ended, allowing Sachs to run. Also, Sophie Paulet of JSerra and Chloe Elbez to run. Pauly was their number 1 on this day. She finished 10th overall. Elbez was their 5th, so she closed out the scoring. Those 2 ultimately gave that team their performance, their victory here, and that big average. And they're going to be crucial down the stretch for this team, which has not just hopes at the state level, which they should assume that D4 title again, but nationally, I think they finished 20th at NXN last year. They want to be better. So that they're kind of forming towards that time in December to really be productive with those 2 runners. Without them, they don't win. But JSerra was without Summer Wilson in this race. Summer Wilson also is a very, very productive runner. So if Summer had run here, I think they still win. JSerra is loaded this year. That's matter of fact, just loaded. So they're really showing some great signs. Middle of the season in California, and the end is coming soon. One last segment from Clovis. I needed to add this. Dana Hill's boys beat Great Oak by 5 points, came in the last mile. Great Oak had been dominating. They had been maintaining through mile 1 and 2, and then Dana Hill's out of nowhere just comes away with the victory and really moved up like a bee swarm in the last mile. Evan Noonan finished 3rd overall, but really it was that 2, 3, 4, 5 that came through the clutch for Dana Hills and got them a victory. A couple teams suffered and fell in the standings. Ventura kind of had a difficult outing. Arnold Beckman, who ran early in the season, had a difficult outing. But Dana Hills comes away with a big victory here. I think that is a great centerpiece win for them.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially with a great average and, just taking out Great Oak by 5 points. But they got the job done that day.
Yeah. Let's move to the top 3 storylines from the week, and we got to start with the Coeur d'Alene boys of Idaho. We started out the season ranking them number 5 nationally. Other rankings didn't have them that high. We believed in them.
Yeah, we did.
Early on, and currently they are 5-0, and are they proving us right?
To answer the question, the answer is yes. I think they definitely have proven us right. And the Coeur d'Alene boys, like we mentioned, they were a pick that we had that was sneaky good, that you shouldn't underestimate them. And now that it's pretty much mid-October and we're about to start rolling into these championship part of the season, we definitely need to make sure our eyes still remain on the Coeur d'Alene boys. And then at the Nike Hole in the Wall, I think this was a big meet, especially for the west side of the country. And these boys were able to take down Jesuit, 68 points to 86, what I think is fantastic. Had a great spread there. They finished all their top 5 finishers between 15:19 through 16 minutes for 5K, and that equals number 2 in the nation right now behind Bell and Jesuit for overall team average. So I think the Coeur d'Alene boys are definitely living up to the talk that we've been kind of touching on, and they're looking strong.
Yeah, and one of the big reasons why they were 5 is they finished 3rd at the Idaho State Championships last year. So you might be thinking, well, why are they 5? They had 7 runners returning.
Yeah.
Their averages were awesome. Their speed ratings were awesome. So in some ways, when you do rank these, and we spend a lot of time on rankings, just putting all the numbers together, it all led to sort of seeing them among the best in the country. And, you have to put that, into execution. It can't just be on paper. They've won 5 straight races. They've largely beat good teams. Kamiakin and North Central were among them. But Portland Jesuit, as you mentioned, number 10 in the country right now.
Yeah.
Beating a top 10 team here is a huge victory at Nike Hole in the Wall. And Coeur d'Alene, I think, at this point has certainly proven their standing. And Idaho State Championships are next, but really have to make that mark is at the Northwest region, which is the first one on the docket, NXR-wise, next month. So Coeur d'Alene really has to sort of put their foot on the gas a little bit and just make sure this season isn't lost. Like you have to make something of this season because you've been so good so far, and I think they've really proven a lot over this stretch. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go next to the Tatnall Girls of Delaware.
Yes.
Flew south to North Carolina for the Great American XC Festival, and they went up against a ranked team. They went up against, two ranked teams, Cardinal, Gibbons, and Cuthbertson. And Olivia, what did they do?
You're probably thinking, who are the Tatnall girls? Because
I know who the Tatnall girls are.
Tatnall girls.
I know Tatnall.
Let me dive into this. So they're a Delaware-based team. And as Courtney mentioned, they were able to take down teams like Cardinal Gibbons, Assumption, Cuthbertson, which we all are very familiar with, and Mount Tabor. And they finished with a 1756 team average and 68 points to win this title. And I think what was very impressive for me was this weekend, they were able to get all top 5 finishers with a 27-second split and all under 18:15 for 5K, which is super incredible. Led by sophomore Abby Downen, who finished 12th overall, led a team that was 12th, 14th, 16th, 27th, 32. And I was just like super impressed with Tatnall. I was like, okay, they're definitely on my radar now moving forward. And Cardinal Gibbons, which is a MileSplit 50 ranked team, was second with 96 points. And Cuthbertson dropped down to 4th, and they had an 18-19 average to finish with 148 points. So Tatnall really dropped the hammer over this weekend.
Great American and Wake Med itself, the course there is incredibly fast. It's never been this fast, but I think a lot of variables are working into its favor with shoes and the course terrain. I think the way that they maintain it, it's just running fast. And Tatnall's performance here is historic on their school level because I don't think they've never had a team this good. Their best year, I looked back into the archives a little bit, was 2017. That was the last time they won a Delaware state title.
Wow.
And their average, 5K average there at Delaware was 1932.
Wow.
So courses vary, obviously, but this is a fast course. But anyway, you cut it, sub 18 is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And as I was looking back at the archives, I knew who Tatnall was. Obviously, they're a good program. They've had some good teams. They've had some good athletes. Keelan Hayes won 2 straight titles in 18 to 17. Lydia Colasante won a state title in 2019. But they really haven't put it together as a team. And it feels like this year they've finally said to themselves, all right, we're going to do it. And it came at Great American. Looking ahead, where do you see this team going? They have Manhattan next. Last year you were at Manhattan. You saw 3 of these girls run 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
In a race.
I'm excited, and I know you're going to be in Manhattan too, out there in New York, and I think Tatnall, this is a great opportunity, and we're going to kind of dive into Manhattan a little bit, so I don't want to jump the gun here, but you go to Manhattan to run fast and get some really great competition, so this is going to really put Tatnall to the test, and I'm curious to see how they compete.
We'll see if they can back it up 2 straight weeks, but signs are pointing to yes. Third last topic here, Downers Grove North is the team in Illinois to beat.
Yes.
Why?
Ooh, I was like, Cory, have you been filling out Downers Grove North lately? And I was like, they caught my eye 2 weekends ago. And the reason why is they started taking down really well-known teams and programs across the nation. They competed very well at the Palatine Meet of Champions, the Richard Springs Invitational, and the Lake Park Harvey Bross Invitational on the ladies' side. And they took down some heavy hitters in Illinois. Illinois is a big state known for lots of great competitors in distance running. And so I was like, okay, they're on my radar. Let me see if they can back it up. And they definitely were able to back it up this weekend and replicated everything that they've done at the Naperville Twilight Invitational and swept the team titles for both the boys and the girls side. And the girls, they scored 37 points with an 18:06 average. Again, these young athletes led by sophomore Lily Eddington. She clocked a 17:37 and they got their top 5 within the top 15. And I was just, Naperville Twilight was such a great meet, and the girls definitely looked sharp over the weekend.
And obviously, you pointed out too, the boys, they've been in our national rankings since the first week.
Yes.
A little miscue at the rankings this week. I forgot to add them on, but I put them back on there. They're at 18.
Yeah.
But they're undefeated. They won at Naperville Twilight with a big win, 81 points, 1530 average. Really, how Downers Grove North has defined itself this year has been in packs. First pack of 3, next pack of 3, 4 guys. They've really been able to run as a unit in those 2 packs, which has made them really, really tough to beat. If you look at the Illinois state rankings right now for 3 miles, Ryan Eddington, Caden Weber, and Grant Schroeder are 15, 15, and 17. That's how good they are at 3 miles together, top of the state. So that's going to be tough to beat on its own when you have the 4, 5, 6 guys really running well too. Then that makes you a great team. They've had the better finishes consistently in Illinois. Plainfield South has come on as of late. They had a really good performance at Niketown Twilight, so they did move up in the national rankings. But I think ultimately down the stretch, Downers Grove North might be the better team in Illinois because of all those factors that we just talked about.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling like Ryan Eddington, and Lily might be siblings. We might have some brother, sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, that's a good family and have some fast runners.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Really making
and a strong team too at that.
Making good rounds on Downers Grove North. Okay. Next topic here. Freshman prodigy by the name of Marcelo Mantecon of Bell and Jesuit. He's really opened our eyes as to how good he is this year. Where is he going? What has he done?
I feel like this guy is the future of the sport. If he keeps this momentum going, I know he's just a freshman right now, but I feel like he can be a national champion contender in the years to come. Especially what we saw at the Great American Cross Country Festival, the Bell and Jesuit runner clocked a 14:48 to be 3rd overall. However, this is a new freshman class record. And if you just look at everyone from the class of 2027, he leads the class by over 20 seconds. And he's the first boy this year in his class to dip under 15 minutes for 5K. I was really curious about how he was going to respond after the FSU pre-state meet, which they just had just a couple races ago. And he went 15:10. And then the week before, he went 14:52 at the Southern Showcase. So he just continued to build upon those little blocks that he was creating for himself. So I feel like this guy has been running consistently under 16 minutes, and especially as an 8th grader too. And so the fact that he went from doing that consistently to now running smooth, low 15 seconds is quite impressive. So definitely keep Marcelo Mantecon on your radar.
Yeah, he was an 8th grader when he ran at NXN for the first time last year for Bell and Jesuit. He ran at the state championships as an 8th grader. That doesn't happen very often.
No.
You know, on a boys level. Girls, maybe, but on the boys level, no, because maturity, physical prowess, and just the nature of running lends itself to upperclassmen success. So you don't necessarily always see young runners being as good as they are, like Mantecon. Got to give some credit to Frankie Ruiz. It kind of maybe matured him down the line and gave him reps. He's earned them and raced well as an 8th grader. Obviously, you got to look to the example of Keegan Smith of Knoxville Catholic. When Keegan was a freshman, he ran 14:53, I think, and he ran an all-time freshman national best. You know, Keegan was a freshman phenom as well. Kind of had some lumps last year. Now he's back to it. So the one thing to keep in mind with freshmen is that, yes, he's good. He is the next up-and-coming guy, but he now has a target on his back.
Yeah.
And so you have to be cognizant that you're going to have a lot of races, and you just have to be very tempered. You know, if you're outcome driven, then your success is only tailored to outcomes and not necessarily the process. So I think someone like Marcelo really has to drill down on not being outcome driven and more so on the process, because he'll get better. There will be ebbs and flows to his races. It's just natural for anyone who's getting older, 14, 15, 16 years old. There will be ebbs and flows. There will be great races, bad races, stagnating races, and they'll have breakthroughs again. But right now, he is amazing. We'll see what he can do. But also, just be aware of the timeline that you have in front of you, and there's a lot of road left to go. So just embrace that. So Marcelo, great freshman. Think of the world of him. He's got a bright future ahead. Next topic here. Top 4 teams in each regional heading into the national regionals in the Northwest, Heartland, and Midwest. They're coming up for Nike. They are starting first in November, and we're going to rank our top teams.
Yes.
Olivia.
Should we do it by region?
Let's do it by region.
All right. So to put this in perspective, let's start with the Northwest region because they're the first region on the dock coming November 11th. And the teams that are going to be in this region are Alaska, Hawaii, Idaho, Montana, Oregon, Washington, and Wyoming. I'm going to start from the top and go to the bottom. I have some flyers in here that I'm like, I think they could be in this mix. So keep your eyes out for them. So
is this who you expect to finish 1, 2, 3, 4, or this is how you sort of the best as is right now? Do you think this is how it's going to fall?
This is how I feel like it's going to fall.
Okay.
Is that how you?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. But at my fourth one, I was like, I'm going to be bold.
Okay.
Because I feel like the fourth place teams are the ones I feel like can sneak in there to get into the top 4. So number 1 on the Northwest side, I have Jesuit. They're ranked already on the MileSplit 50. They've just been showcasing their dominance. They have the best 18 team average right now, which is number 13 overall, and they're one of the best teams in Oregon, and they finished second last year at NXR region, so I feel like they're just going to continue that momentum. Number 2, I have Lincoln, another team from Oregon, a solid team at that, and they were 7th at NXR, and I feel like this year they've really, on the ladies' side, have really just like catapulted themselves to a whole nother level, so keep your eyes out for Lincoln. Number 3, I feel like I got to have Boise Senior because they're just like the team from Idaho that constantly is knocking at the door, and especially with Sammy Smith in there and Allie's Bruce doing their thing. They have an 18-24 team average as of right now, and they were 3rd actually at this meet last year. Now for my flyer, got a team from Washington. I have Mount Si written down. They finished 3rd at the Nike Hole in the Wall this past weekend. Finished right behind Lincoln and Jesuit with a 19-13 average and had a 54-second split. And they even took down teams like Lake Oswego, which has been really strong, and Skyline as well. So those are my top 4 teams from the Northwest region.
So you just mentioned this, but Portland Lincoln beat Portland Jesuit at Nike Hall. And you have them flipped here. You think Portland Jesuit at regionals is going to beat Portland Lincoln.
Yes. I said it today, October 10th.
Experience? Why? Why do you think that's
I just feel like Jesuit is technically on paper a stronger team.
Okay.
They could be working through some kinks, but when it's time to like really put it out there, I feel like Jesuit's going to come up on top.
Okay, that's fair. Northwest on the guys' side, we're going to go with Coeur d'Alene.
Okay.
As the winner here, got to stand by our pick here. Number 16 in the nation right now, 5-0. Coeur d'Alene, we're having them coming out of the Northwest. Then we got Portland Jesuit, ranked just behind them, Coeur d'Alene. They were 2 last year at NXN. They obviously are very prepared to go back to nationals. They know how to get there and how to perform. So Portland Jesuit. My next 2 are the Flyers, as you say, with Mount Si. I'm going with Bozeman of Montana. Been surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Nathan Neal, without a doubt, I believe is going to get to nationals. He's been one of the best runners in the country. They finished 6th at Nike Hole in the Wall. So kind of a up and down performance, but I do think they will perform at that regional level. And then I got Issaquah of Washington, also ran well at Nike Hole in the Wall, 15:32 average. This is a flyer as well out of Washington. Okay.
I like your flyer picks.
Heartland
region, again, they're going to take on the course November 12th. In this region, it consists of teams from Iowa, Kansas, Minnesota, Nebraska, North and South Dakota, and Wisconsin. So number 1, and no, I was not influenced by Max. I have Olathe West from Kansas. Max is a huge Kansas fan. They've gone 18-31 already this season with their team average. They were 2nd at NXR last year, and they returned their top 5 of 6 runners. So again, just looking strong. Minnetonka I have at number 2, and they were 3rd at this region last year. And again, top 5 returners, including now who's a freshman. She actually, as an 8th grader last year, ran for Minnetonka and helped them do very great things last year. So Ellie Malik is the freshman now. I have 2 flyers here because I was like, I feel like they can really sneak in there. Sioux Falls Christian from South Dakota, and they won the Nike Heartland Preview with 100 points and a 1937 average to begin this season. And I feel like they're just going to continue to grow from there. And then Wayzata, I was really curious about this team, especially on how they were going to kind of fill in the gaps with Abby Nekanecki graduating and going to Colorado. And they're 2 and 4 runners on that squad, and I feel like they have a lot of talent this season. They look very, very strong. Very young team coming up. So those are my picks for Heartland.
So Heartland's held in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and maybe there's a little bit of home court advantage there for Christian. Mm-hmm. It is a fast course. Anything can happen. I've been there once, and it's like chaos going around turns. It's like a racetrack. I like it. South Dakota hasn't had, I don't think, any representation at NXN from what I can gather from a team aspect at like almost ever. So it would be interesting to see one of them kind of step up and get a spot there. Yeah. I think that would be good for them. On the boys' side, I got Stevens Point, currently number 12 in the rankings. They won. Roy Grieg, they look amazing. They are a powerhouse from Wisconsin, a notable state champion. Dowling Catholic, number 26 in the rankings, second at Roy Grieg. They lost a lot of talent from last year, including Jackson Haydish, but Dowling Catholic always reloads, so I think they will be in the mix there. Cedar Falls of Iowa, off the radar a little bit, but they've been really good in Iowa. They just won the Steve Johnson Invite, average of 15.41. I think they will be kind of in the mix here. And then Wayzata, I'm a little, not disappointed, but I don't know. I don't think they've showed us their best yet. Yeah. And I always think you can count on Wayzata to bring something to the table. So I think by the end of the season, it's not how you start. It's how you finish. It's not the mid-season. It's how you finish. How you cross the finish line. So I'm going with Wayzata here, 4th, but I think they could move up too. I think they could surprise us with a qualification. I like that. I like that pick. Final and 3rd region is the Midwest. Again, this is the same day as the Heartland region, November 12th. In this region, you have teams from Indiana, Illinois, I don't know why that came out the way it did, Ohio, Michigan, and Missouri. And I feel like this is going to be in a very intense region because there's a lot of top-ranked teams in this region. And again, they only take the top 2, right? Yeah, 2 with 4 at large. At large, yeah. So you're guaranteed the top 2 spots. So here we go. Number 1, I have Mount Prospect, and they've competed multiple times against the competition in Illinois and have stood their ground through and through. Number 2, I have Ann Arbor Pioneer, and the way that Rachel Forsyth is leading this team right now, there is no doubt in my mind that I feel like Ann Arbor can really put out a really strong finish in this region. We talked about them earlier, and I feel like I have to include them now. Downers Grove North, and this team has faced a lot of great competition across the state, finished in a lot of top places. They have an 1806 team average for 5K. And then number 4, I have Elmhurst High School, and they have been showing me a lot of strong talent, especially from the Palatine Meet of Champions Invitational, where they clocked an 1806 for 3 miles for their team average and took down a lot of great teams from Illinois in the process. So I'm feeling really strong about my Midwest region. Is that York? Are you talking about York? Elmhurst? Is that York? For the girls? Possibly. Okay. All right. Maybe not? Double check on that. Yes. Okay. On the Midwest on the guy side, I'm going with Carmel, currently 9 in the boys rankings. Always good. School has about 5,000 student athletes. They have 100 on their team. They're good. Just simply by numbers. I just wanted to point that out. Number 2, Downers Grove North. I believe in them. I think they will qualify for nationals out of the Midwest, even though Plainfield South ran extremely well on Terre Haute, same course, Nike Town. I'm giving it to Downers Grove North here because I do believe in them. Rockbridge out of Missouri. I'm going to pick them for number 3 here. They were beat by Plainfield South at Nike Town, but I think they can rebound from that. They have a great runner by the name of Andrew Hauser, and that team is ready to put something together at that regional level. So I'm going to go with Rockbridge, and then Plainfield South I'm going at 4. This is kind of how it shakes out in our heads. Plainfield South is ranked above Downers Grove North and Rockbridge right now, but everything changes on the day.
Right.
And so
we still have a month.
We do have a month.
Yeah.
All right. Did we find out if that was York? That was York?
I think it was York, yes.
Okay.
So my bad on that, but I do have Elmhurst as like a team to definitely look out for.
Okay. Last subject here, Manhattan College Invitational at Van Cortlandt Park in New York City this weekend on Saturday. Big meet. You were there last year. What were your impressions from last year?
There's a lot going on. I remember there being 3 races happening all at one time, and it just comes in waves. It's like, I think they wait like 5 or 10 minutes, and then the next heat goes off. So there's always 3 different groups of athletes on the cross country course, and it's great. And I just remember like they go into the back of these woods, and then all of a sudden they come out. But the thing is, the finish line looks a lot closer than what it actually is.
Yeah.
They have about 1K to go, but you come out of the woods and you're like, finish line, start sprinting. And then you're like, no, you still have a 1K left to go. But it's a great atmosphere, great meet to be a part of. There's a lot of great energy. I remember Louis Gurvala was there, had a guest appearance. So lots of great Hoka athletes were present, which was really awesome. So this is definitely a meet to go to if you have ever had the opportunity to do so. And I think for me, over the last couple of years, I was really curious, especially seeing Carrie Beloga be so dominant here. Devin Kipiego dominated this meet last year, and Devin was going after King Jesuit's 4K record. Like, this is a meet where you just put out some really fast times and get some great competition. So I was asking myself, who's going to be the star of this meet? And my brain immediately went to Zariel Makia of William Floyd. Again, she is just super talented. She had a very late start to the season, and rightfully so. She had a very long season at that, representing the U.S. And so she has been, this past couple weekends ago, she had her very first competitive race of the year, and that was at the Nike Cross Country Town Twilight Invitational. And she lined up against athletes like Delta's Nikki Sutherland, and she run the race for a new 5K personal best of 17:01. And she's been second over the last 2 years because Carrie Beloga is an athlete that she's very familiar with and has been competing against. So I feel like she is the heavy favorite. And again, she is the top returner on the girls' side. So that's who I'm looking forward to seeing.
Gamer, too.
Yes.
Big fan of Makia.
Yeah, me too.
She's definitely a gamer. And oh man, thinking about her season last year, she went all the way to USA U20s and competed for Team US.
Yes.
And then she competed outdoors for Team US too, for Pan Americans, is that right?
I feel like she did.
I mean, that's a lot.
It's a lot, yes.
That's a big season.
It was a very, and just think about what these athletes have gone through. They did the whole cross country season, and then they go through states. Yeah, so she was at U20 trials.
Yeah.
And then, trying to see. I feel like, yep, and then she did Nike Outdoor. Yeah, because she was definitely overseas somewhere.
That was after cross country.
After cross country, yeah. Like during the outdoor season.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't seen her race in a while, so she always offers something big. On the boys' side, you have a couple of these names written down too, but Joe Barrett of Christian Brothers Academy is the number 1 on a top 5 team in the nation this year. They look really good. Is he the favorite? I'm not quite sure. There are a lot of good guys.
There's a lot of names on the boys' side that I'm like, ooh, this is going to be really interesting.
Interesting.
Yes. So who are those top names, Corey?
As you noted, Stephen Hergenrother is the top returner. He's from Ridgefield. Ridgefield's coming off a number 2 placement at Great American. And I spoke to his coach yesterday, and he said that Stephen has a little bit left. Like, he finished that race in 14:52, and it felt like it was smooth. So that's a really great sign. Whenever an athlete comes off a good race and he looks smooth, watch out. So I think he will be good. Jason Parr of Milliken, I believe in this guy. I think he's going to have a good season. He's trying to put it all together. Here's a good opportunity here. Tamrat Gavinas of Phillips Academy and Dover, private school kid, so we don't see him very often, but he's got a lot of talent. And then Andrew Thornton Sherman out of St. Johnsbury Academy in Vermont. Also doesn't get a lot of pub, but he's a solid runner. I think all 5 of those boys will have their shots, whether they're in Eastern States or a rated race. So I think it's going to be interesting. I don't think anybody goes under 12 minutes here. Only 2 have done that all time.
Yeah, I don't think.
Devin went 12:10, 12:14 last year.
Yeah, in that ballpark.
Yeah, but hey, who knows? Anything really could happen, I think. I don't think anybody was awaiting Alex Osberg in 2013 to go or 2014 to go 11:57. So, things can happen.
Things can happen. Absolutely right.
All right, team to watch here is obviously CBA. They're one of the best teams in the country, so they're probably going to be the top boys team there. Top team storylines going into Eastern States. Olivia, let's go to you.
Yes, I'm looking forward to, well, especially individually. I know you have a really solid team, and we talked about them, but I'm most curious going into this race that from New York, you're going to have the top 5 boys toe the line. Like literally 1 through 5, the fastest 5 boys in the state are going to line up. And this reminds me of Clovis, and especially with the meets in Colorado where we just see a lot of them just like toe the line. So here we go. You have Jason Kerber, who's number 1 in the state with a 15:14. Then you have Logan Schaffler, Van Furman, Henry Koyeki, Sierra, Shane Murphy, and William Samatas are the top guys in the state of New York. And what's fascinating is all of them have sub 15:40s for 5K on the cross country course this season. So it's definitely going to, this meet specifically on the boys side, I think is going to really have, this is the headline here. It's just the boys race in general is just going to be fast and furious.
Spicy?
Spicy. Yes, absolutely spicy.
Spicy goodness. Okay, interesting. I will be, whenever we get that interview at the end, I'll be like, was this spicy enough for you guys? Was this
This is great.
That'd be funny. On the girls' side, I think we both saw it this past week. It's Tatnall, it's the girls. I would hope they're in the Eastern States race. They raced Varsity E last year, but they only had 4 runners. So if they bring a full team to Manhattan, want to see what they can do at 4K. And just to see if they can hold up and really show that promise again. Would you, so obviously times are fast, but like Van Cortlandt itself kind of has some variance, right? There's probably some hills in the back there, right?
Yes. I know when they first start out, they're like on a soccer field. The thing is, I don't know what happens in the woods.
Mystery.
I remember last year, I think Devin was saying like there was or Carrie Beloga told me there was a random log that they had to like hurdle over.
Okay.
So there's definitely different terrain throughout.
Mm-hmm.
They got grass. They come down the home stretch. I can't remember if the home stretch is on pavement. I don't think it is, but there's definitely different types of footing. And who knows what happens back there in the woods. Because I was by the finish line grabbing everyone for their interviews.
It'll be my first time at Van Cortlandt.
Oh, you're going to have so much fun.
Which is wild because I'm from Pennsylvania. I've never been to Van Cortlandt. But,
there's a pie place.
Okay.
Nearby? Oh, gosh. Literally right next to the cross-country course.
Pies all day.
Oh, man. I got to look this up. But, like, it is so good. Okay. And every time I've gone, well, I've only been there once, but the line was around the building.
And you waited?
I ate it. I waited. Yes, absolutely.
How long?
I think it was solid 45 minutes.
You waited 45 minutes for pie?
It was the best pie.
It must have been, the reviews are...
Yes, through the roof. Okay. Like you go to
like life-changing. We're gonna go, this is a pie podcast now. Life-changing pies in New York City next to Van Cortlandt Park for Manhattan. I will try it. I
don't know what it would. Lloyd's Carrot Cake.
Okay.
Visit Lloyd's Carrot Cake when you're there.
All right, we're getting a random rec for Lloyd's Carrot Cake at Manhattan Invitational, which I will be at. You're going to be at A&M this weekend covering the Clovis Invitational? Correct?
Yes, on Friday I will be there covering all the collegians, getting after it. This is, as you guys know, that's my alma mater, but like the cross-country course was not there when I was there. So this is a whole new experience for me that I'm looking forward to.
Okay.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be fun times. A&M, New York, next week, another On the Line episode. Thank you for watching again, tuning in. We'll talk to you later.